Barclays Bank are suggesting they're going to close my account. I've been with them for 30 years plus, business and private. And because I haven't furnished them with certain information in time, they're threatening to close my account. I've got a telephone conversation booked with some advisor in the next few days. And I have tried to give them the information they require. I mean, they know who I am, for goodness sake. And I just can't get through to them. I get cut off, I go to the wrong department, I don't do telephone banking, so I can't press the right numbers. I went into my branch, a lovely lady there helped me. I filled in some forms, it still wasn't quite enough. Anyway, I'll tell you how I'm going to sort that in a moment, but it got me thinking about this cashless society. Are we heading for a cashless society, and is this a good thing? Well, we are heading for it. There is no doubt we've been railroaded into a cashless society, and you can call me old-fashioned, you can even call me a conspiracy theorist. You'd probably be right, because I think it's a disaster. And I now am using cash. I was guilty, like you probably, let me know in the comments. Are you guilty of using your card or your phone and paying, even for coffees? You know, I used to pay for cappuccinos at £3, £4 on a card. No longer. I make sure I use cash, because back to my bank, if my bank can close my account for being a normal person, but not furnishing them with the right information at the right time, i.e. the kind of info they want is, what exactly is my business? What is the consultancy? What is the media work? When I get paid to go and give talks, how would you describe that? Is it a talk? Is it consultancy? Whatever. I mean, it's bonkers, right? It's bonkers threatening to close my account. What if they did close my account and I couldn't function? I wouldn't be able to pay my mortgage. I wouldn't be able to pay debts. I wouldn't be able to pay anything, right? You know the consequences of that. So I'm not getting railroaded into this. So I'm making sure now that I have a little bit of cash, 100 quid or so. I've got an old dormant building society. I'm going to resurrect that, put a little bit of money in there in case. I gave my daughter 100 quid for Christmas. I made sure she got it in cash. She too is now trying to use cash. She lives in London and it's really hard to use cash. I mean, when I visit her, I'll often try and pay in cash and they just don't take cash. Now, if we allow this to happen, what are the consequences? Well, we don't know what's going to happen in the Western world these days. I, as a young man, lived in Africa, in Zimbabwe. I love it to bits, adored my time there, think about it every day. But countries like that are always a little bit on the brink. You know that something calamitous could happen. Could be a war, a coup, it could be the economy melting down. And when living there, we always used to have these conversations about England, thinking of these rose-tinted glasses of England, how funny situations couldn't occur in England. The economy would never melt down. There'd never be a coup. There'd never be a war. There'd never be an uprising. There'd never be rioting on the streets and all that. Well, I don't believe that now. And again, this is the conspiracy thing. Accuse me of that if you like. I do believe that's possible at some point in the near future. And what if banks have control over you? What if you're on the wrong side, according to them, of the argument? What if you don't adhere to their belief system? They could switch you off and you could literally starve to death. That sounds very dramatic. You probably wouldn't be allowed to starve to death, but they would close you down. You couldn't trade, you couldn't pay things, you couldn't buy things, you couldn't go on holiday. So that's why we need to fight back, in my opinion, and keep cash in society. And we can all do our bit, if you agree with me, by insisting on paying for our lunches and our trips out and dinners and fuel in cash. Try and keep a couple hundred quid around all of the time and have a bank account that you can get access to with a little bit of cash in. What's the old saying? Cash is king. And I think in today's world, in the West, that has never been truer. So let me know, am I a conspiracy theorist? What do you think? Is cash king?